The experiment. The halls of CERN would never be the same after that terrible night, as I, Dr. Victor Sinclair, a physicist who also happens to have an intimate knowledge of the occult, anxiously prepared for an experiment that would push the boundaries of reality. My warnings about how the experiment could go wrong had repeatedly fallen on deaf ears, dismissed by my colleagues as unscientific woo-woo nonsense. Little did they know the gateway they were about to open held horrors beyond the scope of their scientific understanding. "Victor, you've got to let go of this mystical nonsense. We're scientists, not sorcerers," scoffed Dr. Helen Brooks, a brilliant physicist with a penchant for skepticism. My eyes betraying a deep-seated worry, I retorted, "There are forces beyond our comprehension. I've seen things, glimpses of the unknown. We're playing with fire here." Dr. Richard Turner, the head of the project, rolled his eyes. "Enough with the theatrics, Victor. Stick to the science. This experiment will open new frontiers in our understanding of the universe." As the collider powered up, I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. I knew the risks, the potential for unleashing entities that defied the known laws of nature. My occult studies had uncovered ancient tomes that spoke of forbidden gateways and eldritch horrors waiting beyond. As the experiment reached its climax, a blinding light engulfed the room. Reality seemed to warp, and a gateway opened to a dimension that defied comprehension. Entities, dark, writhing masses of malevolent tentacles, spilled forth from a tear in the fabric of reality. Chaos ensued as several of my colleagues were violently torn apart by the beasts that emerged. My worst fears were realized. My hands trembling with fear, I fumbled for the ancient tome I had brought with me as a precaution. I knew I had to act swiftly to seal the breach. "You see? I warned you!" I shouted, my voice carrying an urgency born of dread. My colleagues, now facing the grotesque horrors unleashed, looked to me with newfound terror. Desperation fueled my actions as I recited an incantation from the tome. The air crackled with arcane energy, and the gateway began to close. But the beings that had crossed over, their forms twisted and unnatural, continued to wreak havoc. Total panic set in as the CERN facility transformed into a slaughterhouse. As one of the Eldritch beings lunged at me, its clawed tentacles dripping with an otherworldly malevolence, I staggered backward and narrowly evaded its grasp. "Oh my God, Victor, you were right. This was a terrible idea," yelled Richard, as he swung at the creature with a fire axe he had retrieved from the break glass in case of emergency box. The being grabbed hold of the axe with one of its gruesome tentacles and threw it across the room as it swiftly sliced Richard's throat open with another tentacle, tipped with a razor-sharp claw. In a desperate bid for survival, I sprinted through the labyrinthine corridors of CERN. The facility, once a haven of scientific inquiry, now echoed with the screams of scientists and the terrifying roars of eldritch horrors from a realm beyond our own. The beings, driven by an insatiable bloodlust, pursued me through the halls. I reached the exit, my breath ragged and my heart pounding. I sprinted towards my car, parked just beyond the facility's entrance. The night air felt oppressive, tainted by the cosmic horrors that lingered behind me. As I fumbled with the keys, a shadow loomed over me. The same eldritch being that had claimed Richard's life within the facility now emerged from the darkness, its form shifting like a nightmare made flesh. My hands shaking, I recited holy words of power that echoed through the night. The creature recoiled, its unearthly howls filling the air. Seizing the opportunity, I leaped into my car. Behind the wheel, I peeled away from the parking lot, tires screeching against the asphalt. The screams of my colleagues reverberated in my mind. The boundary between science and the occult had shattered, leaving an indelible scar on my psyche. As the road stretched out before me, I knew the events of that night would forever haunt me. As the lights of CERN dwindled in the rearview mirror, I said to myself, I tried to warn them. Some doors should never be opened. Some forces are not meant for us to tamper with.